specifically with customs, that while we do have an improvement and we have very hardworking, dedicated officers, my concern is the consistency. I have to say to you that growing up, I don't come from a place where we were in a position to travel often. As a matter of fact, I traveled once in my young life, and it was a class trip from Belmont Primary School to go to Venezuela. And my mother never baked so much sweetbread and killed so many chickens to get us to be able to go on that trip. So that was my real big experience passing through the airport. But we used to go to the airport. Bajans, remember when you used to go to the airport as an expedition. Watch the planes take off, watch the planes land, watch people coming out and hear from them what that experience was like for them. And at that time, even as a young child, I was disturbed by the fact that the experience coming through customs of Black Barbadians coming back home was completely different from the experience of visitors coming to our country. Minister, this is the year 2024. There are all kinds of national security concerns with which we must concern ourselves. That is given. But some years later, as a grown woman coming back through the airport in December of 2023, I would not expect to experience the same kind of bifurcation that I saw happening as a child. Ministry of Finance, the government of Barbados, have set up certain things to ensure that when it comes to expenditure on items originating outside of Barbados, I dare say that they're perhaps getting their due. There's a foreign exchange tax that we all now see when we make a purchase. There are other ways that my colleague neighbor sitting beside me and the Ministry of Finance have found to be able to work with online platforms to make sure that they're able to capture, rightly so, taxes at different forms of making certain purchases. I know that the small revenue that customs is getting from causing Barbadians arriving home, or Barbadians arriving home from holiday, or Barbadians coming back from business trips, or other people that are not Barbadians, but they may determine, look, Barbadian enough to send through a red line. When they send other people directly through a green line with not a question asked. And worse, the Barbadians that are coming through the red line, I understand the national security issues, those kinds of checks should continue, but there's a way for them to continue. I know that the revenue that they're getting from a grandmother that bring back some sneakers for her little granddaughter, the revenue that you are getting from that exercise of wading through a person's personal effects in full sight of the arrivals hall is not enough to warrant the indignity of that exercise. There are issues that I mentioned earlier that suggest that the targeting for that process is problematic in a country with the history of Barbados. And that too must be addressed by all of us